Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair. Come on down and get your geeked up, gift at the Sci-Fi Center. We got almost everything a geek could want at the Sci-Fi Center. You name it, we got it. Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and everything in between at the Sci-Fi Center.
Hey, it's happy Wednesday. Happy May 14th, 2025. Welcome to the Midnight Express, the in-between show. And when I say in-between, because I have planned the rest of this week to have topical shows. Obviously, tomorrow morning at some point, I don't know how early, I haven't decided yet. I'll make an event after the show. We will be doing a trailer review for James Gunn's Superman. And then later on that evening, we will be doing probably a little bit more detailed breakdown. So for most of you who will have watched it by then, tonight's show is brought to you by Paramount Pictures and Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning in theaters May 23rd, which is next week. Since 1996, Tom Cruise has brought Ethan Hunt to life, mastering everything from daring plane chases to unforgettable underwater escapes. This May 23rd, gear up for his ultimate adventures with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning lands in IMAX. For those of you who are local in Nevada, we are local in Las Vegas, or will be in Las Vegas next Wednesday in IMAX. We are doing a special advanced screening of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. If you're local, you checked out my social media, you guys know how to enter that contest, as well as I will be handing out some seats in person at the Sci-Fi Center all this weekend. So Mission Impossible, one of my most anticipated movies of the year. It was right up there with Sinners, Mickey 17, which didn't do well, but I actually enjoyed that movie. Fantastic Four being my most anticipated. Superman is up there as well. So yeah, Mission Impossible. I've enjoyed just about every Mission Impossible. Like I said, and I know some people are going to be indifferent to this. I didn't hate Mission Impossible 2, but it wasn't what I considered to be on par or consistent with what the other movies have brought us. So, but even that being said, it's still a great movie. It's just I don't ever consider it. I kind of consider Mission Impossible 2 like Tokyo Drift. Yeah, it's associated, but is it really? Yeah, next week we're going to be doing that. And then 2 weeks after that, actually, no, 7 days after that, we're going to start our promotion for Ballerina. We will be doing a screening on Monday, June 7th, June 2nd, for those of you who are in Las Vegas area. We'll also be giving away pictures, T-shirts, and posters for that as well. And we'll go into detail as we get past this first promotion. So Clinton the Duck. It airs. Okay, so the trailer hits at 9:00 tomorrow Pacific time. I have not decided whether I'm going to be up at 9:00. At some point within the vicinity of that timetable, I will be up and we will be doing a review. I'm just going to do the review, do the quick review, take a look at it. I will probably watch it beforehand before I jump on there. But then, we'll do our detailed review later on that evening around 11:30. But I will give an initial view about what I think about it. I can tell you right now what I expect. I mean, I'm hoping for is the premise is the most important thing for me. A little bit of an introduction within context, not just the appearance of Lex Luthor or Crypto or certain characters. I actually want to see them within the context of their role and some dialogue. Those are the three things that are going to be important for me for any first trailer. The rules change when it's a second and third trailer when you go 90 days in, but since this is the first trailer, I'm looking for premise, character introduction within context of the premise, and then some dialogue. Because all I've heard so far is calm Crypto, and then I saw a little teaser today with Lex Luthor saying Superman, and that's about it. So I'm hoping the trailer has a little bit more for that. As far as it getting me excited for the movie, I'm already at the level of whatever I'm going to be at to see this movie. Nothing's really going to change that. There's nothing in this trailer that's going to be like, oh wow, now I'm going to go see the movie. Already made the decision that we're going to go see it. So, but yeah, well, from a retail point of view, I think those are the three things you need to have if for a trailer to work, especially this close to the game. Outside of that, that's about it. I don't really have any. I don't have the kind of expectations that I have for James Gunn Superman aren't as high as I have for things like Lanterns, where I have seen those creators and those creative team do things at a level that I have just adored. Like I said, Damon Lindelof is the exact person I really wanted to do this one before they even mentioned him. So. My expectations for things like Supergirl, World of Tomorrow, or Woman of Tomorrow, and things like Lanterns and Paradise Lost are much higher than they are for Superman. I understand Superman has to be structured in a way that has broad appeal where not everything else does. So, like I said, have not decided on what time we're getting up. How you doing, Daniel? What's going on, Joga? AMC is really offering deals starting on July 18th. They're doing half off tickets all day in addition to discounting Tuesdays. I did a little movie club thing where you pay for 15 months. Yeah, and then don't you have the A-list? They also have A-list for things like that too. Like I said, I hope it works out. I think that if there's one place where the box office can really cut back and get back a little bit, it's going to be the ticket prices, simply because they rely on the traffic. Traffic is what gets you in there to buy the popcorn, the soda, and all that stuff that is their high markup stuff. Without the traffic, they can't sell that stuff. So if they can, they can kind of afford to take the hit on a ticket price, not too much, but enough to where it generates traffic. If you generate traffic per unit, then that one ticket sale unit is leading to 3 or 4 units of sodas, popcorn, especially if you're doing it in a family. So hope it works out for them. I mean, like I said, they're gonna have to take some drastic steps to compete with the convenience and the luxury and the cost effectiveness of streaming. Yeah. I mean, did it for Fantastic Four because I was already up. And I was really excited about that movie. I don't know about 9:00 this morning. I'm doing just fine without another Megan trailer when it gets there. Pretty sure I'll see enough of them because we're promoting that movie. So, yeah. I'm not. I will be going to bed, and then, like I said, after this stream, I will decide whether I want to get up that early. I don't think we're going to have any more or less viewers regardless of when we do it. If we do it at 10 o'clock, we do it at 11 o'clock Pacific time. I think we're going to be just fine when it comes to viewership. So and our viewers know that we're not an early morning show. Yeah, I know this is a special occasion, sort of, but it's still. I'm not over the moon excited to the point where I'm going to be waiting up. I'm not doing a countdown. I'm just going to come on. We're going to do our thing. It'll be a live stream. We'll take some quick questions, and then we'll save the bulk of it for our actual show tonight. Superman versus Juggernaut. Oh no, that's Hammer. That's the Hammer. Not a widely known character, but no, that is not Juggernaut. All right. Here's something that annoyed me today. And I've mentioned this when it comes to my hopes and dreams, when it comes to the Daredevil show, is that it does not get cluttered. One of the major issues I had with the Netflix shows was that they didn't know where to set up boundaries and where they really needed to not do so much of the group stuff and so much of the overlapping stuff. Don't forget, the title of your show is Daredevil. The primary character in your show, the one that people are tuning in to see, is Daredevil. Not Daredevil and his amazing friends. Not Daredevil and, 3 or 4 other, mid-level heroes. It's Daredevil. You have an average between 55 and an hour and 8 minutes to tell a story when it comes to Daredevil. You do not have time for the entire household of associated Daredevil to be in any given show. If these characters have to be in there, they need to be used very sparingly. They need to be measured. I don't need to see what I saw in I think it was season 3. I don't need to see Defenders again. Daredevil. Right? Daredevil Born Again. Even if they even keep the Born Again for season 2. Daredevil Born Again. Repeat that title as long as you need to remind yourself why I'm tuning into the show. Daredevil has enough supporting characters. He has enough people in his rogues gallery. He's got enough going on. I don't need the Scooby-Doo gang back again to fuck up the show. You want to do Defenders in an MCU format somewhere down the line? Cool. You want to have Luke Cage stop by and say hi? Cool. That's all I need. When I'm sitting watching an hour of Daredevil, I want the majority of that hour, if not almost all of that hour, to be about, I know this is going to shock you, Daredevil. I want the option of not watching these characters in Defenders if I don't want to see him in Daredevil. If you're going to do a Defender show, go get to it. But do not clutter Daredevil with this. That was one of the main sticking points I had. I had several with the Netflix show. I mean, the show was still brilliant, but there were some things in here that if you had a chance to make corrections and make better, that was one of them. I would hate to see them make the same kind of a mistake. This isn't Netflix, by the way. That worked for Netflix. This is not Netflix. So I see news like this. Christian Ritter will officially return as Jessica Jones and Daredevil Born Again. Listen, I only got 8 minutes of Karen Page. That's the problem. I don't want you guys giving me more of these add-ons than the people that are actually in Daredevil's tight inner circle. So, fine. Kristen Ritter is a fine actress. They want to bring her back as Jessica Jones. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You talk about a case or something that you're both working on. You give some information at a coffee shop. That's fine. I don't need to see Iron Fist and Daredevil. I don't need to see Luke Cage and Daredevil. Not for any significant time. not for any significant time. And if you do have him on the screen for that needs to be the episode. I don't want to come back episodes 5, 6, and 7 with those cats in it. I tune in for Daredevil. That's it. The guy in the horns. My main protagonist. That's who I want to see. Put Defenders in their own show, and I can decide whether I want to watch it or not. So I hope this is what they are doing. If this is happening, is very measured. I hope that the showrunners are taking a look at the things that worked and the things that did not work in the Netflix series, and I hope that this is not something that becomes an issue again. That's just my opinion. There's just my message, people. All right. Brad always freaks out when I when not Brad, but people like, your messages are up. I'm like, there's really nothing top secret in my Twitter messages. Mostly it's just people sending me pictures and links to shit. So, all right, so where am I at? Thanks, Aaron, for spreading the word. All right. Let's see. Ooh, wow, that's I do not like that frame. Yeah, not a character that I could give you any info on, to be honest with you. That's going to be a lot of the characters that we see in this movie, too, by the way. Help do what? Help do what? The show was fine before she got on there. This Born Again was fine. I mean, help do what? What is she going to help do? It's the story they told, though. See, here's the thing: the story that they told, and they told that story. I don't see, tell a Defender story on Defenders. I always say let the storyteller tell the story, but if you're assigned, if the show is Daredevil, then that's the story. How you choose to tell it with that character is one thing. Adding all these other tossed salad characters involved in it, I don't need to see any of those. And you only have an hour. That's all you have. Daredevil does seem like a character that's better suited in a series versus a movie. I agree. I don't know what more they can theatrical do. No, I am always going to be a serious guy when it comes to Daredevil because you can flesh out the character. You can evolve the character in his inner circle and his antagonist. So, yeah, I'm always going to be a serious guy. Nah, I'm talking to you as a consumer, as somebody who watches the show. Not here to change your opinion. I'm telling you as a consumer what I hope I do not see with this show. Nah. I think Disney has different standards and different story structure than Netflix. Remember, all this stuff has to fit into everything that they're doing. Netflix, they didn't have that restriction. Netflix, they were on their own. They were pretty much on their own boat, far away from the MCU. Even though they claimed the MCU didn't necessarily claim them until No Way Home. So whatever you're going to do with Daredevil still exists within the structure of the MCU. So it's not like Netflix. The rules are a little bit different. And I'm hoping those rules help. Yeah, if they do it, I mean, like I said, if they do it one episode, a cameo, a real quick reunion mid-season, it doesn't need to be, if you're going to blow, otherwise I want those other 8 or 9 episodes to be about, Matt Murdock, to be about what he's going through, to be about, his city, it's Daredevil. Cherry's just a composite character. He's just like he basically has 4 or 5 characters that have played that role in Matt Murdock's life over the last 30 or 40 years. But I wouldn't take any of those characters over him. No. He's a character that's structured within the story within Matt's needs. He's there to augment Matt Murdock and Daredevil. The other characters are not there for that. So yeah, it's a different thing. I would not take them over Jerry. Like I said, she can be back, but I'd be back. Give her a Jessica Jones show. I mean, how many more women does Matt need in this damn show? Doesn't having a Green Lantern show be grounded in mystery sound more like Green? Okay, I'm already not liking this question. Doesn't having a Green Lantern show be grounded mystery sound more like a Green Arrow, Green Lantern, or with Hal Jordan probably passing the mantle? No, it's about the Green Lantern. I don't know if and when you'll ever see the Green Arrow, but you don't need the Green Arrow to tell that type of story. If you ever get a chance to read a lot of the Green Lantern stuff, a lot of his stuff is not. It's some of his stuff is out in outer space, of course, but there are a lot of things that happen strictly on planet Earth or strictly on an isolated world to where it's not, this cosmic odyssey. Depending on who's writing the Green Lantern, it can be exactly what they've described in the show. And right on time by about 24 minutes late is Brad. How you doing?
Yeah, Brad here, co-hosting the show with my co-host who denies that Mission Impossible 2 is by far the greatest Mission Impossible, bar none, of all time.
It's not. All right. So yeah, Chuck.
It's matter. It's not even a matter of opinion. It's a matter of established scientific.
Yeah. If you're obsessed with Kung Fu, yeah, I could see how it would stand out. But if you're not, then it's just, it's kind of off brand.
So they will support me in the comments. They all do. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Look at our comments in chat. Do you really want to claim that?
Well, we got another apparently tonight also that is what did you go into it already? By the way,
I just glossed over the whole Jessica Jones thing. That
that's what I was referring to. Which you mean?
Yeah, I have. I just took it off the screen just before.
First of all, I mean, I think that's a big indicator. Yeah, I mean, the writing's on the wall. They're bringing them all back. Whether they're bringing them back, Daredevil is one thing.
There you go.
As far as bringing them back as solo shows or just bringing them back to continue.
I don't even think that's. I'll be honest with you, because they've been very judicious with their shows, and they're making all these announcements of how they're peeling back when it comes to the shows versus cinema. So I could see that under Chapek. I could see every one of them having their own separate show. Under the current announcements that they've been making, I don't know where they're going to fit these characters. As far as a regular show goes, I'd be honest with you. If I had to bet money, I'm betting on that their cameos and their guest appearances, either in one episode.
She's going to be, and that's going to be it's going to lead into her, because I have no doubt her show's coming back now.
I already got
Punisher coming back too. So
yeah, but Punisher Drew. I mean, Punisher, and he's part of. He's actually had more time to grow in a way. That's a completely different character. I wouldn't say no to her character as far as odds on favorite, but remember, Disney's not. They've announced a strategy on how they're doing this. And there's other priority characters that if they're going to make shows of, that if they're going to be judicious in their space and their time, I don't see these characters being it. There are other characters that are on the pecking order that you would use that time if you're only doing. Remember, they said what two shows a year.
They say a lot of things.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't see where this fit could happen. But once again, where on the list of priorities would characters like Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones, when you have these other characters that you're going to try to intertwine in what you're doing? So could happen. Well, once again, don't fuck up Daredevil. If you want to do this offshoot stuff, great. You only got
hold on, I need to back out real quick.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, you only got a little bit amount of time to do it. All right. Hey, how you doing, Glimmer? All right, Glimmer. Over here. Green Arrow. I knew who you were talking about. 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Sorry,
like I said, I have not decided what I
125.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't decided whether I want to be up at 9 to review this.
That is the time that's confirmed.
Yeah, that's the time it's
so
going to
that'd
drop.
be noon for me.
That will be noon for you. That will be 9 for me. I generally don't do things in the AM. And I don't know if it's going to be any major difference in those of you who are going to tune in. I mean, you're going to have a lot of places to go watch people's reaction.
What time do you usually open the Sci-Fi Center?
It'd be 11.
Okay.
So it might, like I said, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how I feel. But yeah, tomorrow it's just going to, or today, later on today, it's just going to be a quick, review. We're not going to go into too much. We'll save that for the show later on, where I can set rules and parameters about the conversation we're going to have. Like I said, the main rule is if you're coming in and you're going to be genuinely excited about Superman and this version of Superman, that's cool. But if it's just another chapter in you hating Snyder fans, I'm not going to be very nice. I am not going. My patience with you is going to be to the point where you get that one chance, and then
I'm the same way.
You're not gonna see. And conversely, I'm not either way. I don't. If you're not into the movie, don't come in here complaining about what we didn't get from the last 7 years. I don't need to hear that tomorrow either. I hear a little bit of the former than the latter. But if you're coming in and you're going to be part of the conversation, either doing a trailer review or doing the long form show later on in the evening, it's going to be about this movie, this trailer. Now, if you have some comparisons and things that you are referencing to, that's fine. But if you're coming in and you have false excitement, you're not really excited about the movie, you just want to hammer some other fan, I'm going to do whatever YouTube allows me to do to make it so that I never see you again. If you come in and you just hate James Gunn because he exists, I'm going to do the same thing. I don't need you shitting in my pool in regards to my superhero conversation. I am engaging this to have fun. So once again, so I wanted to give people some time instead of I wasn't going to talk about the teaser trailer. I'm not even going to waste my time with that. I am letting people know we are potentially 8.5 hours away from engaging in this conversation. There's no second and third strikes. Come in with the bullshit, and like I said, it's not a timeout. It's a gone. I don't have the time going forward. I don't have the mental energy to waste. I want to talk about this thing within the context of, hey, let's have fun with it. Let's break it down in a retail point of view from where I'm coming from, as far as somebody who gets to promote this movie and gets to sell stuff. It is a comic book IP. I can hate the movie. It doesn't matter. It's going to help me sell stuff. So from that point of view, I'm going to give you my perspective from that point of view. But like I said, if you're in the chat, if you're in my comments with the dumb shit and I don't need to go into you guys have been part of our chat and part of our comments, part of this atmosphere, just to know what I'm talking about. I'm getting us out of the way now, because once I hit start stream tomorrow, this is not going to be. It's going to be quick, gone, bam. And like I said, I don't want to see you again because you're adding to things to the conversation that have nothing to do there. So tomorrow today we're going to do the trailer review. We'll talk a little bit about it, but like I said, I'm going to save most of the conversation tonight. And there are, like I said, I will be looking out for the terms, those certain keywords that are basically you telling me I want to leave this format, and I never want to be. I don't want to even have the Sci-Fi Center show up on my mention, because I'll make sure you don't show up on ours. So, like I said, my tolerance.
The thing about it is, I think the crazy thing about it is, or the sad thing about it is, I can name off the top of my head people who I know are going to be using that trailer tomorrow just to bash, certain segments of the fandom over the head with.
That is not what I'm here for. That's not what this show is here for. And don't be two-faced. Well, you guys should be positive about this, and then you're here bashing people. Telling me most of the people who have already shown their colors by, like I said, putting in that, you can tell when somebody's excited about something, and you can tell when they're just excited for it to be the next weapon that they have. And like I said, I'm not going to be bothered with it. So we're going to have a fun conversation, and that's where I'm going to leave that, because, you'll have plenty of time to watch this stream. And then once we start talking about Superman, 2025 Superman tomorrow, both ends of it. Don't come in with your grievance. I'm just going to get rid of you. Don't come in with your weapons. to bash me as a Snyder fan or whatever, I'm just going to go. Not because I can't take it, because you're wasting my chat and the people who are spending their times to actually get our legitimate opinions about these things. You're wasting their time, and you're wasting their time in the chat, and you're wasting the people who leave comments in there who actually want to engage. If you want to engage legitimately, I'm going to be there for you, both in person here in Vegas or online. But if you come in with the stuff that I've seen that's made me kind of like want to mute this whole thing, then that's going to be, I'm not even going to waste the time. I'd rather you just disappear. All right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my shorthand of all that is, I mean, the way I put it to people is after the last 12 years, my willingness to tolerate being sneered at over liking this particular set of DC movies is at an all-time low. So I have the same policy. You get one strike. After that, you've violated further. You're out of my life.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to be on both ends of it. I listen, guys. I was there through all the stuff that you're grieving over. This ain't the show for it. All right. And while I'm trying to ascertain and break down a trailer for a movie that has nothing to do with any of that, I while I understand and can relate to you seeing another Superman when you pretty much got fucked over, my tolerance for that is at less than zero as well. I understand. Take it somewhere else. Don't have the time. I don't have the bandwidth.
Well, on that note, another kind of superhero-related thing, kind of related to what we're talking about. Question to Brad: if they're going to be coming back, does that mean people like me have to start watching all the Marvel Netflix shows? Yeah. Bring back to Daredevil. It's like, would you say that like the 3 seasons preceding would be like a? I think you could probably like watch Born Again pretty cold if you haven't seen any of Daredevil. Now, with that said, I would say the 3 seasons before that probably adds to it a lot. It probably enhances the experience if you already have like the established history with particularly with like the Daredevil and Kingpin conflict. I would say that adds to it, but it's not. You're not going to feel lost on Born Again if you hadn't seen the 3 seasons of Daredevil. The other shows, actually, to bring it back, like Punisher, like would you say like if you had to see Punisher, like would you be lost on Born Again? I don't think they would if they had to see Punisher.
No. The show is designed for you not to have to carry that weight unless you want to. The show is designed both ways. If you want to go back and I would suggest any John Brenthal footage you can get your eyes on to do it. But the show is designed to where you understand what Frank Castle is, even in Born Again. I personally don't think you need to go back. But then again, at the same time, I think there's a lot in that character that's in those shows. But Marvel and Disney have designed these shows so that you can. It's on their network. It's there, but you don't have to. And that's the biggest part about with Kevin Feige's new direction is he doesn't want to make these things all must see. Watch what you want, watch what you feel good about, but you don't have to feel like you're left out of the loop if you haven't watched something preceding up to it. So
now with Jessica Jones, that we don't. I would think they're probably going to maintain that for the other characters. So as far as her role in season 2, yeah, I would think you probably don't need to see her show before seeing her role in season 2. Ditto for whatever they're going to do with Luke Cage and Iron Fist. I would say they're probably going to maintain that like consistently with all the characters. It's like if you have seen the shows, it adds to it. If you haven't, you could still watch them pretty much as a newcomer and not feel like you're just totally out of the loop on it. That's probably what I would say. I would still say like of course I have recommendations as far as like which ones I lean more to with and I'm sure William does too, like which shows you are your favorites of the bunch from Marvel Netflix. But you just across the board on them, I would say my general mindset would be it's like you don't have to have seen them, but it's not bad if you had either.
Also remember, just because they are mentioned, Foggy and Karen Page were advertised for season 1 of Born Again. I've been on the air on tonight's show longer than they've been on the show combined in the first season. Mm-hmm. So just because they say somebody's coming back doesn't really mean shit as far as
apparently they were going to die at first before they did the overhaul.
Yeah. So
because Foggy did died, but
Yeah, if you put it that. But just because they are saying well, this person back doesn't mean that they are going to play a significant role.
It doesn't mean they're pivotal, yeah. At least as far as
Yeah.
on Daredevil is, what they do elsewhere that would be different. But
And I like I said, until I see otherwise, I'm gonna doubt that any of those characters get any show anytime soon. Just given the announcements and the interviews that Kevin Feige has given and the priorities that they have above those characters, I don't see where they fit. Now,
they're going into a war with the Kingpin, going into season 2. You know who could be really useful? Daryl's building an army. A chick with super strength, and a dude with super strength and unbreakable skin, and a guy whose fist is like iron. Those are very useful allies to have on your side.
So what? You can ride around those. It's called being able to write. They do it all the time. They do it on a monthly basis. Daredevil has gone up against the Kingpin for 35, 40 years now, and for the most part, didn't need anybody else. So it can be done. So I would say no, Aaron. And I think that by design, that is what they mean you do. I don't think they bought Daredevil Born Again into the fray to not give you the option of not watching those shows. You can watch them or you cannot. And I think I know majority of people that I was watching the show around or were suggesting the show and getting their feedback on did not watch the Netflix Daredevil series. So,
well, and the other thing too, I mean, I think it's worth bearing in mind is that, Daredevil, it had the overhaul. So initially it was going to be, apparently, fairly distant from what they did on Netflix. That they decided to guide it back there. But correct me if I'm wrong. Do they reference any specific event on Born Again that happened on the first season of Daredevil?
But it's the gap in between the last time you saw them pretty much erases them.
I think the main thing. I mean, they do Kingpin going to prison, obviously, but I mean that could be that doesn't necessarily have to be the version of him going to prison that happened in Daredevil season 3. So that could have been a lot of this. I think it's worth bearing in mind what Daredevil Born Again was going to be at first and what it ended up becoming, and the fact that it does sync up with Marvel Netflix, but it's also not, again, you don't have to do your homework to get it. Is the way to put it.
The side characters Daredevil are just as important telling a story. The main character himself, maybe more so with Batman. No, not. In fact, that's neither. That's neither the case. Both of those characters can have done it both ways. And in my opinion, this is just the opinion of the comic book guy, is that they are lesser with the more they have to deal with. When you're talking about characters who are by nature work alone, and then you start adding elements to there. That's why you have 3 Batman comics a month, and one of them generally doesn't have anything but Batman in it. And then you have Detective Comics, which allows them in it. But no, side characters. But once again, it goes back to the writing. Remember, when I'm watching or reading Batman, I fold it back over and look at the top of those characters. That's who I'm paying for. That's who I'm paying to see. That's who I'm paying to watch. And if those characters are not in there to support the Batman or to support the story that's being driven by Matt Murdock, then they don't need to be there. If they're basically there doing their thing and he's just along for the ride, then give them their own title and give me the option to not have to see them if I don't want to. So no, the title character is what I'm paying for. The title character and everybody in there, from Alfred to Butler to anybody else, if they are not in there for the story that supports Batman, then they don't need to be there at any given time. So no, I would say no on both ends, but it's been done both ways, but I prefer it the other. Let's see. All right, just a second. I did not see Fight or Flight. Did you see Fight or Flight?
Oh yeah, I did see that over the weekend. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. Josh Hartnett, he's kind of a man on a mission, and on this kind of, he has to retrieve this one subject who's on a plane for this kind of shadowy organization he's a part of. So yeah, I enjoyed it. If you're looking forward to it, you'll probably dig it. Although it's probably going to be on PVOD pretty fast, I imagine, because
I'm surprised. I'm surprised it didn't go straight to PVOD. But hey,
what was the other one? That's Shadow Force. Yeah, that'll probably be those. Are I mean they're definitely in my wheelhouse, but also they again they didn't make a huge splash, but I mean it's kind of like they're because they're tailored to particular audience, so it's kind of like the theatrical experience for those is kind of almost more like marketing for their PVOD.
That's basically. Hey, ACS, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
How's it going, man?
Let's see.
That's you got for us, guys.
Ooh. He's probably at work. Break the internet. I mean, depends on what you mean by break the internet. A lot of people are going to be talking about it because it is Superman, and that's the kind of culture we live in, and we'll be watching it and we'll be reporting on it. I don't know, but I don't know breaking the internet. When you say break the internet, or when you may say, I'm not looking forward to be honest with you. I'm gonna have my conversation, but I'm not gonna really get involved in ones that are outside. I mean, if I'm on with Dave Friday, maybe we'll obviously talk about it then. But outside of that format, I'm just not gonna engage. I'm gonna pick and choose my spots. I'm gonna look around. I'm gonna see the verbiage and the words that are being used, adjectives are being thrown around. And if it seems like a conversation where I can come in and have a broad conversation about Superman, then I'll jump in. But if it's the usual bullshit, then I'm not even gonna waste my time. And be honest with you, for those of you who just don't want to get caught up in that, I would do the same thing. I mean, if you find yourself a conversation with level-headed people that want to talk Superman, that's cool. But like I said, if you're going to be able to tell whether the person you're talking to or interacting to is there for the movie or they're there for a fight. If you're there for the movie, we can talk to the cows come home. If you're there for a fight, fuck out of my face.
Yeah. Again, I can name off the top of my head people who claim to be there for the movie and who are there for the fight.
Yeah, and I don't want to, and please don't jump in a good conversation I'm having with somebody coming in, or you're going to boycott James Gunn because some people that are haven't been with the company in 3 years did to you. Go boycott their movies where they work. How about that? I just, like I said, my fuse is short with everybody. That's why like I said, I'm not looking forward. I'm looking forward to it in the narrow sense that we can talk about it and I can give you my opinion. But like I said, we know what's going to happen. We know what's going to hit the fan in about 8 hours. It's going to be a good portion of these people are using this movie for things that have nothing to do with the movie. You're either using it as a shield or a sword. And to be honest with you, the internet's a big place. I hope you find your place in it. That's not, in my atmosphere.
And by the way, where's this one here? Yeah, he is at work listening to us. So
yeah, he's probably there shirtless.
Actually, if that he wants to shoot you a link, man, maybe you want to jump on real quick and show us the inside of the gym, because he's done that before.
Yeah, he did that once.
Yeah, it's like we were talking. He's on his phone, shows and it was really late at night, so it was basically just him in there.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to have to put on a shirt, so he won't be there. Criticism is cool. Not everybody communicates the same way. It's called Discord. Yeah, but I just don't have any time for it anymore. One thing, like I said, the discourse is a conversation you can have with level-headed people. It's cool. It's in the ideal world, you should be able to jump into a conversation or look, scroll things online, be like, hey, that sounds like an interesting feed on this. Let me add mine, and then you see, that sounds great, but unfortunately, we've been around. We've all been around this atmosphere long enough to know that that's probably not going to be the case. It's kind of sad, to be honest, just bashing DC Marvel. Yeah, it really isn't. And I'd be honest with you, I had my fill of it in the early 2010s, when from 2012 all the way on, it just became to the point where, as a comic book store owner, and most of the discourse that I can do without, to be honest with you, in fact, all of it is online. When you talk to people in person about these things, it's a completely different conversation.
Oh yeah. That's why I always recommend people, conventions. It's not just the atmosphere of that and the panels and cosplay and things like that, but also it's you get to talk about people in these things in a setting where it's nobody. I've never like Superman, the trailer tomorrow, and comparison with the preceding versions, it would not. I can guarantee you, like any conversation, like at the Savannah Comic Con, it'll be this summer. It's like we can talk about that, and we can somebody like will say it's like, well, I don't think it's going to be as good, or actually by that point, actually I think we will have been out. So it's like I don't think it will have been. I don't think it's as good, or I think it's better, et cetera, et cetera. But it won't get acidic. It won't get acrimonious. It won't get it won't get aggressive. It won't get personal. That just doesn't happen when you're talking about these things at a convention with other people.
Or when you're talking about, like, when I have people come in the store all the time talk Superman, they'll drop their little criticisms about Snyder, but they won't do it in a way because you may have a different view of what Superman means to you, but that, like I said, when you're in person with somebody, shitting on their view of what made them happy about Superman is a lot easier not to do when you're not hiding behind a keyboard and a screen. It's just there's different decorums and different, when you're face to face with somebody and you're talking to them, and it's like you can have a disagreement about, a preference about a character. Hell, I got 10 different versions of Superman literally on the wall, and one for each person who wants to follow that direction. So when you're in that type of environment, it's different. When you're just typing words on the screen, that's where the problem is, because there's no context behind it. So, like I said, people are like, well, you just want to shut off the conversation. No, I'm just tired of having shitty ones. And we've had 10 years of shitty conversations that I just don't feel like having tomorrow.
Maria says, let's see Shadow Force today, but it's exhausted. I'll try this weekend. Yeah, it's like I thought about checking that out, but I didn't get the chance to over the weekend. So we got, of course, Memorial Day weekend coming up. And by the way, a little update for everybody, because I did talk to Little Movie Perp, and we're kind of like settling on it's probably going to be over Memorial Day weekend when I'll be on there. So you guys want to see me go on his show and like talk kung fu movies as he's been wanting to do with me for quite a while. He'll probably be
he already agreed that if he ever comes on this channel again,
he's gonna take the Raptor off.
lizard free, damn it. Yeah. By the way, not an ugly dude. I don't know why he has high.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that is kind of like that is also maybe like a distinguishes you from other YouTubers, where you're the talking Raptor.
Yeah,
so.
I guess to have to give this much a disclaimer for a Superman trailer shows you the people that are telling others to move on a large part of the. Yeah, to be honest with you.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I have addressed the other end of it too. That I'm kind of exhausted from both ends of it. But at the same time, somewhere in between, I really want to talk about, hey, what's this movie mean? And how does it look? I mean, there's some cinematography things that I saw in the teaser that I think I might like once again. There are some scientific things I really want to actually talk about when it comes to this movie. And to be honest with you, I've always said there shouldn't be a conversation about Superman that turns toxic. If your conversation about Superman turns toxic, it's the people having the conversation that are the problem. So I'm trying to extricate myself. I'm walking a thin line. We want to talk about these things, but the majority, so not a majority, a good portion of the audience are people that are like, I just don't want to deal with, And once again, there you go. What have I always said, Joga? Nobody has the right to tell anybody to do anything when it comes to consumption. If you want to hang on for dear life to something for the next 10, 15 years, and you're not hurting me, then do it. At the other end, there are people who, like I said, who, because of what they've gone through with superhero characters, by the way, they are not going to open their mind up to anything, which I think is unfortunate, and I think it's tragic. So I can see both ends of it. I just am tired of both ends of it. That's where I'm at. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I don't mind. Nearest is kind of have you don't have to do anything. So you can hold up. You can be practical and pragmatic and say, you know what, there will be a time and a place for this other thing. But right now is not it. That's just you don't have to give up on anything.
Yeah, have to. As my dad never gets tired of saying, it's like the only things I have to do are pay taxes and die.
My advice, and this is not me telling anybody, that if you are a fan of a different universe that got mismanaged by goofballs that are no longer with the company anymore, and you have a comic book guy running the whole show now who appreciates every aspect of everything, my thing is don't just put it in the back burner for right now and let these other things unfold. And when the time is right, you never know what's going to happen. Don't listen to fanboys who tell you to move on and do all the cope shit and all that. You should, like I said, your mind to subconsciously shut them out as if they were literally dogs trying to talk to you. Understand that this is a business, and if something has merit, it will eventually happen when it needs to happen. Period. And just go on with that.
And actually, on that very note, as far as like business stuff, yes, apparently the much discussed Schumacher cut of Batman Forever is getting a public showing sometime like this month or next month. And it's apparently it's not going to be like the Kevin Smith one where he kind of had to like, beat it, tipped around. It's like, well, I mean, if you guys show up here, we might be seeing like a certain director's cut, like, et cetera, et cetera.
Why are we doing this though? I don't understand.
Well, that's the thing. Like, well, why are they? Because I mean, one assumes they would need Warner Brothers approval to do that. So
even if Warner Brothers said yes, why is Warner Brothers saying yes to this?
Well, I mean, that's
why
are
you doing this?
Other than is there some consideration for releasing it? You
don't have, to my knowledge, there is no revenue generating data that says I can see you releasing the one that was actually successful and released. That I can understand because of the anniversary. It's
been released for 30 years.
But that's the relevant version of this. Why are you releasing this version in theaters? Put it in a re-release.
I mean, they might have determined they like give this like some kind of.
I doubt it.
I think William froze again. Okay, there goes.
I doubt it. If you look at the things that they don't justify and they say no to, I can't see this being in the basket of yes, but it's their money to lose. You think at this point, with all the bloodletting that they've done since the merger, that you would do things that that were a little bit more of a path to revenue? I don't. Like I said, I would see if Batman Forever got released in the theaters as this awful movie and this injustice. It wasn't. It's one of the better superhero ever made, which brings me back to the question of why. Why are we doing? Like I said, re-release that one, re-release the one that actually the one that got released. Yeah, really, and give me cups and give me popcorn buckets, but. I don't see why, but hey, you know what? For those of you Schumacher cut guys, if it released, you better flock to it because sooner or later they'll figure out what the fuck did we do this for, and they might pull it. So watch it while it gets out there. But like I said, I don't understand why they're doing this, but for those of you who have waited for this, and
I mean, it might be because of the 30-year anniversary. They may think that's like the marketing kind of like opportunity for something like this.
But why would you want to market this when you have the version that's being celebrated? Is one of the most successful superhero movies that they've done in that era, of any era. Why if I'm marketing Batman Forever, I'm marketing Batman Forever, the cut that made all the money.
But they make more money with it now.
They're going to make their money with the version that's been successful, that's been lauded over for 3 decades. They don't need to. Like I said, first of all. So enough. How many theaters are we talking about too?
Yeah, that's
actually a bigger caveat because if it's like 20 theaters, then I'm like, okay, you're not really.
Well, I'm not clear on. I need to look that up.
If you're talking about like 3,000 theaters, and no, I don't. Why are you doing this? But that's just my question.
Well, that I would need to. I'm not fully clear on. I don't think it's 3,000 theaters.
That changes my answer, by the way.
If it was, first of all, if it were to that level, you would. You would have heard about it if it was that level.
Yeah, I'd be like, "What are you doing?" As a stockholder, I'd be like, "What are you doing? Didn't you tell me you guys needed to save money and refine this process? And what are you doing? If it's like 100, maybe anything less than 100 theaters, all right, you're not really."
I think it's probably it might be just like one theater. I mean,
okay, that I can understand.
It might be like a press kind of event or something.
You're not spending any money. You're not distributing it. You're not having to advertise it. Because once you put a movie in so many theaters, I think it's like 2,500. You're talking about having to pay for advertising because the theater's not going to want you to put a movie in their theater unless you're going to advertise for it. So that means you're paying for advertisement for a version of the movie that's not even the standard bearer. I retract everything I said till I know how many theaters we're talking about. If we're talking about a handful of theaters, no.
I'm gonna look up. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. This is the DC Films News page that shared this.
And are they a source that is getting it directly from source.
They are credible.
Okay. I'm not saying they're not credible, but I mean, that's something like wouldn't that be like an official?
So Batman Forever,
Warner
the
Brothers?
Schumacher cut will screen in LA on May 29th. The screen will be the exact cut the Kevin Smith screen in 2023. Okay. Okay. So this, I guess, maybe give some context for it. The Thursday, okay, Batman Forever Schumacher cut, monthly members only, extremely limited seating. So yeah, this is definitely a
Okay,
limited.
so this is
run
one.
thing.
This is one theater,
It looks
multiple
like
dates on one theater. Okay, that's fine. I'm thinking, we're putting this out. All right, did one theater?
Well, if it's like thousands of theaters, and it's like
then
they're going to go out. If they're putting it out that wide, they're going to make sure people know it's going that wide.
Yeah, and they're gonna have to put some money down. Now, I could clearly see Batman Forever, the actual one coming out. And you know what? By the way, McDonald's, you need to get involved with that and re-release those damn cups.
I never got one.
I got the whole set now.
I never got one of those cups because those apparently those really sold out.
They're laser etched back. We're talking 1995, by the way. We're not talking like these days where like a kid can take a 3D printer and make some stuff. We're talking we didn't have stuff. We barely had the internet in 1995. Those cups are kick ass for so many reasons. So yeah, if we're gonna do a wide release, which I think they should, because Batman Forever is a great movie.
Well, I mean, I remember the marketing on that was really crazy. I mean, they went all out with the marketing on that in '95.
And like I said, with Batman Returns, for me being such a disappointment, and I loved the original 1989 version, I just did not enjoy that movie at all.
William and Brad, how do they get permission? Well, they got to go to Warner Brothers, obviously. They got to get So, and actually, it's kind of how much do you think DC Studios would be involved with any kind of like decision like this now?
No, because it's not. It's an IP. It's an IP that existed before the studio.
Well, yeah, because that's something I thought about too. Like, I mean, yeah, DC Studios wasn't around at the time, but retroactively, does any like DC movie or show like fall kind of under their purview?
No, and that type of decision is an IP, which is a property decision. See, creative decisions are made by studio heads within their studio. IP decisions, things that are owned, like deciding on whether to license or buy or sell something, that's all going to happen above a studio head. That's going to happen at the corporate level. That's going to happen at the Zaslav level. That's going to even happen above the Abdi and the Luca level. That's going because it's property, because the stockholders own all of that, right? So you're dealing with their property, so only they can do that.
So yeah, so if we had like a I don't know, like what's an example? That's
when Constantine, when they're talking about Constantine, they're doing that. They had conversations basically directly with Warner Brothers because that's a property that existed.
So like next year is like 20 years for Superman Returns. So if they decide to do like something like commemorative re-release for that, they would not need to go to DC Studios.
Not because it's already pre-existing. Because James Gunn wouldn't decide what gets released. He decides what gets made.
Right.
He decides what gets made. Like, say, if you were going to do anything else with Superman Returns, like integrate it into what he's doing or use that Brandon Routh, that's the different thing. But you're talking about a property now. What happens with a property is a little bit different than what happens creatively with a character.
Oh, God, Droga. He said he's got my DMs. Droga, if you sent me to one of these Uncanny Valley, like you pasted somebody's face onto my head, it's like, dude, yeah, he sent me something that's going to give me nightmares, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that's him. Yeah, I love Henry Superman, but I'm okay with Page's Always Open Door. Other Henry Superman. I am fine with. Like I said, I've been around long enough to where I've seen several Superman. I'm never going to close the door. Listen, this no matter what James Gunn's Superman does for me, one way or another, whether I like it or love it, it doesn't change Christopher Reeve's status with me. It doesn't change Henry Cavill's status. Those Supermen are always going to touch me in a way that only they can do it.
Okay.
And if I have a preference of a Superman, this is not going to change that,
Okay, Droga, I think let me show you the guys what he sent me. I think that's supposed to be my face there. I mean, I can't be sure. Or yeah, it's either that or Tina's. I can't tell whose face this is supposed to be on Superman's body there. But yes, apparently I am now the Man of Steel that you're going to be seeing theatrically in about 2 months.
Even though Rosario Dawson ended up being in all of those shows, I wouldn't mind seeing her again simply because of how tightly she was connected to him in that show. But there's been other aspects that have been brought into the show since then that really would make her as relevant. And he's in a different point where he's at, by the time we get to Born Again. I'd like to see her again because of that foundation. Even her. And Rosario Dawson's a brilliant actress. Gotta limit it. Like I said, the ingredients in something have to be balanced or it'll taste like shit.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that is me. Apparently, he put my face on the David Corn.
Yeah, I didn't need to ask. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, that's
I know.
right.
I thought that he made me look like Nicotina there for sorry. Maybe it's like my face blending with corn sweats or something. Oh no, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Super Brad. It's here to fight for truth, justice, and the American way, and of course the restoration of the Snyderverse. But we already
like I said, I what I don't know whether you were there to be. What capacity are you talking about though? Once again, this isn't Netflix for one, for better for worse. This isn't the Netflix show. Different company standards. Company tells their stories a little bit differently. I can see a clear difference in between the Netflix show and this one. I think the Disney show is an upgrade. You only got 45 minutes to maybe 55 minutes to 105 minutes, depending on what credits and everything else. If they're bringing them back in a show that I don't have to watch if I don't want to, that's fine. If you're bringing them back in Daredevil, that's where you start losing me. And it needs that show needs to stay about Daredevil. Please don't saturate that show. You want to bring him in for an episode? Cool. I could take that. But I don't need to see them over the course of the show. I don't need to see them, be prominently featured in the show. If you want to do it, and like I said, this is where I'm like, just given the strategy that Kevin Feige and Bob Iger laid out, I don't see this happening. But if you're going to do that, bring them out, scatter them across the MCU. MCU is huge. There are places in the MCU where characters like this work, whether either together or as support characters. It's just not Daredevil at this point. It's just not Daredevil at this point. Same thing with Spider-Man. You know what? I'm looking forward to Spider-Man, but guess what? Guess who the main character that I'm looking for to be featured in a Spider-Man? Don't try too hard. Don't strain yourself. Maybe Spider-Man? So, yeah, I mean, I measure this. Hey, Matt, how's it doing? It's been a while. I got this case I'm working on. Okay, I'll see what I can do. All right. Something like that for each of them. Oh, hey, episode. And then when I look at the titles of the episode and I see, episode 8, Defenders. Okay, I know what that's about. Bring them all back, have them solve a case, have them go their separate directions. You want to use that to establish the Defenders show or Jessica Jones show?
Droga.
Cool. But I just don't want that hour that I have with Matt Murdock just over-seasoned and over-salted. That's it.
Well, RJ, you and I don't think we agree on a lot of Cape shit related stuff, but we definitely are simpatico on this. The writing's on the wall.
I will, like I said, we won't do watch-alongs, and I'll stop watching that show if they go that direction. Just not for me, man. Listen. It's like you invited me into your business, and you put the sign on the door that said coffee. You're selling coffee. I get in there and you have some coffee. It's great. But you got a whole bunch of other shit that doesn't have anything to do with coffee. And now that's affecting my coffee. I can't get my coffee now because you got all this other shit going on. But the sign on the door says coffee. When I walk into Starbucks, they got salads, they got all kinds of stuff. But none of it compromises what I came there to see. I came there to get, came there to drink. You put that sign on the door, you better fucking sell what's in that door, or that needs to be the top priority. You want to sell the other stuff and prioritize the bagels and the croissants and other stuff. You want to make that a big part of what you do. You open up another small subsidiary and you do it there. But don't mess up what brought me through the door. Daredevil is what brought me through the door. To Daredevil, is that too much to ask that Daredevil be the main character that eats up most of the time is him and his closely associated people, the Karen Pages, I mean, they got an hour. They got what, a half hour in the damn show. So why don't we get to the point where we bring Foggy back? Why don't we get to the point where Karen Page and Foggy are a prominent part of the show before we start bringing all this other stuff in there? You got an hour. Now, if we would have stuck with the 18 episode format, maybe, because you got
what
time.
if that is the format that if they are up in the episode count for I call part two?
No, you have to say that though, because all I've heard is 8 to 9 episodes. So you know, if you're going to tell me that you're going to make a longer format, and I don't get like I'm not stuck 8 episodes with an hour, but even then, each of those 18 episodes, unless you're changing the name, guess what? The sign on the door still says Daredevil, right? And I don't hate these characters. I just don't like them, them cluttering up that solitary story. They don't need to be there. They don't augment his character to be there. And as far as Punisher goes, and there are characters that work that you can bring up in multiple times. Frank Castle's one of them. Elektra's one when they. If you're gonna be, by the way, off topic. You're telling me you're bringing back Jessica Jones, a character that you actually handled right, decent. You're telling me
I didn't like
back,
it. I personally didn't.
It wasn't. It was better. It was more consistent to what that character is than what you did with Elektra. If there's any character I need you to bring back to handle right, you need to bring that actress back and that character back and make me forget what you did with her during the Netflix show, because that was bad. So before I see the Defenders and the Scooby-Doo gang coming back, why don't you handle a character that's way more important to the Daredevil mythology than those characters ever were and ever will be?
Well, on that note, I'm gonna pause the hypothetical scenario for like what might happen in season 2. It's like is the Daredevil he says to himself, I got a pretty tough cookie I gotta take down here, and he's really been resilient in all of our battles.
You're basing.
I might need some help here with people who have powers.
Okay. No, why? Okay, so what? How Daredevil came out in 1964, and he's handled pretty much most of his conflicts on his own. Where are you getting this from? This is not a video game.
I'm getting it from he's battled the Kingpin on the show.
So what?
4 or 5
battled
times
the Kingpin.
now.
The Kingpin. The battle between the Kingpin. The
And
whole
he says,
the
"I
reason
need
why
army."
it works, it does what works with the Kingpin. And like I said, I cannot believe you can't make the connection that they were trying to make there. And you watch Daredevil. That is not the army he was talking about.
The fact that they're homeless is not as an asset to taking down the Kingpin.
You did when was the last time you picked
people,
up
it's like,
Daredevil?
are you homeless? You can take down the Kingpin.
The people of
you gotta go
Hell's
like this. You're
Kitchen.
got
The
super strength.
people of Hell's Kitchen, powered or not, are the ones that have to reject. You don't need superhuman powers to beat the Kingpin.
No,
He showed you that
asset.
during that run that was referred to. The people turning on Kingpin as if he were a fungus, it's what ultimately beats him. It's what allows Daredevil to do what he does towards the end of that story arc. When he says he needs an army, he's talking about the army that the people he's been fighting for.
Everybody in the chat right now, it's like theoretically you're going up against a crime boss.
Okay, no,
Who
fuck
you most
theoretically.
on your side?
Go
People
on what
with
you know.
abilities
You don't need
combat
theory.
crime boss,
You don't need a theory about
or
this.
the homeless folks
You need
whose
the
biggest
history.
contribution is they're homeless.
Okay, there's a difference between what you want to see and what works for the story. They ain't the same thing. All right. I want to see all these characters. That doesn't mean they work for the story.
Tactically.
No, that is not thinking tactically. Well, first of all, why are we thinking tactically when we're talking about Daredevil anyway?
Because
In the
Kingpin's a
original
hard guy to
story,
take down, clearly.
No, but he took him down with nobody's help.
And he got out again. So it's not working the way he did the first time.
Whatever. We're not even having a serious conversation, so I'm going to move on.
Oh, by the way, Aaron's got a good zinger on that too. I will say actually her finest hour at that role is in Deadpool Wolverine. That is her best performance.
That's unfortunately a low bar to be able to reach, but that's fine. I can go with that one.
He'll be back. No, I think she will be. Or season? You mean season 2 or season 3?
Oh yeah, season
3 is like that. That's like that'd be like 3 years away from now. So
yeah, I would like to have seen her back in this episode. In this one,
I think she's going to be in season 2.
I also
For the
wanna
same
see-
reason, again, I'm listening for the Defenders. Like, hey, you're a ninja. You got Sai. You got
No.
you're
what,
you're,
dude? What are you
you're,
talking
you're
about?
an asset of
What are you
the
talking
hand.
about? You sound like a dork right now, dude. You sound like a dork in a
I'm
toy store.
thinking in terms of the fact that the
sound like a
Kingpin
dork.
is really hard to
You-
take down, and we
sound
need
like a
people
dork.
with abilities beyond the fact that they're homeless.
You sound like a guy, a little kid in the store that said, "Hey, here, little Brad. Here's a cart. Let's go throw everything in it. You got like 20 seconds to put everything in the cart that you want."
Batman's like, hey, Darkseid's invading. It's like, do I want to get like the denizens?
Okay,
of
but we're
Gotham
not
who are,
talking about
like,
Darkseid. We're
the
talking
homeless,
about
or
a
I want
character.
Superman, a Wonder Woman, and the Justice League on
Oh
my
my
side.
goodness! That disclaimer. Yes, it's clear that Brad does not know what he's talking about, but that's fine. That's fine.
We get conquered by Darkseid. Don't say I didn't warn
my
you. And when the
God.
Kingpin turns
my
New York
God.
City into his own personal hellhole, don't say.
All
I
right,
didn't
so let's. I maybe I'll edit that whole thing out. You take characters like Elektra, who have a conflict of interest. She's not there to necessarily fight the Kingpin all the time. Half the time, she's working for him. When she was killed, she was sent by Kingpin to kill Foggy, and she didn't.
So the other half, she's not working for him.
Okay, so I'm ignoring Brad. When you talk about characters, another character that I really want to see them do, if you don't bring back Elektra, I would hate to see that the Netflix version of her to be the last one I saw, but that's fine. Typhoid Mary is a character that really they really did well with that character. Not the versions afterwards, but the one that Ann Nocenti and John Romita wrote, the one that they brought in, the Kingpin's wife, his second wife, the third wife, or whatever it was, his relationship with her, and then with Matt, and then with everything that was going on and her mental disorder. I would love to see Typhoid Mary in this version of the show, not the Netflix. I am grateful that the people who were writing that show at that time did not use Typhoid Mary, because, like I said, what they did with Elektra is kind of, you can't unsee that. If they do Typhoid Mary, they really need to sit down. They really need to bring John Romita Jr. They really need to bring Ann Nocenti on to get the heart of that character, to understand what that character is, because you're not going to get another chance to do such a character like that. Right?
Fourth, again.
It's not a popularity contest, guys. How many times I got to tell you? It's not a popularity contest. I don't care.
I don't care if
it's
Army
90...
veteran who's not who is.
My goodness. I'm going to scroll down. That was probably the silliest 10 minutes. The silliest 10 minutes.
Well, now we're going to go into another comic book character here. What do you? I went highlight this a minute ago. I think we talked about this a bit ago too. What do you prefer, Truth, Justice, the American Way, or Truth, Justice, A Better Tomorrow?
Just for familiarity and longevity, I am partial to Truth, Justice, and American Way, because of the status, current politics notwithstanding, and my entire time on this planet, and decades before, the standard of humanitarianism, freedom, democracy, defense of those values has always been from America. And okay, guys, and I know this is gonna sound crazy, and I know that I can feel the heat coming. That does not mean that your country is some shithole, or is some place where I am going on history. I'm gonna go back and use World War II as my standard. When the world was in chaos, both enemy and ally looked to Uncle Sam on what it was. Winston Churchill did everything he could to draw us into World War II, because he knew it would change the game. But we didn't want another war. We were isolationists. That was one of the values that did hurt us. But after Pearl Harbor, and we got in 1941, and we got in, not only did we change the course of that war, and all those countries that fought on the outside were all valid countries. They were all dying alongside with us. But it was the American might. It was American infrastructure that led the way in that regard. After World War II, the Marshall Plan, rebuilding of Europe, the entirety of the Cold War was fought over anyone else, but over American values versus communism. Right? When I was born in Berlin. I was born in a country that adopted those values after the war and was kept safe with those values because of the war. Germany's not some crap hole country. I'm not talking down to Germans. I'm technically a German citizen. But it was the American values that they adopted that they look for. When we go to war, even if it's not one that a certain country agrees with, Britain comes with us, Canada comes with us, Poland, they come with us because of that ideal that we project under that umbrella. Now, Superman, for all intents and purposes, although he is an alien, is an American. So when you're talking about a better tomorrow, if the history behind Superman did not line up and was not parallel with the history of the way the world has worked, then I would say, yeah. But like I said, the largest, most successful superpower on its worst day was projecting these values. We projected these values. There's a reason, why you go to South Korea and it's not all of just North Korea, because we fought wars to project those values, not just to get territory. We didn't keep after the German occupation, after the occupation of World War II. We left. There was never a permanent occupation. 5 years we were gone. Japan, after World War II, after September 2nd, they changed their entire culture and financial structure and became a powerhouse because in many cases they adopted American values. I am biased. I think America, faults and all, it's the greatest country in the world. However, having been all over this world, that doesn't mean I put your country on beneath us in that regard. But when we were doing this American thing right, the world has always looked to us. Like I said, current politics notwithstanding, you could watch the stream 10 years later and things to be different. But for the most part, the ideas and values that have been in some way, shape, or form has been adopted. There are people who risk their lives to get to this country. On its worst day, people were getting on boats coming from Cuba to risk their lives, could all die, come to the country. There are people at every border they're not coming here because they saw that American value. Superman projects that. That doesn't mean that he doesn't belong to the world. That doesn't mean he doesn't benefit the world. But he's a guy who is from Kansas that was meant to project American values. Now, a better tomorrow, I mean, that's after 85 years to tack that on. I just don't see it as being, Now, if you don't want to use that terminology, if you don't want to say, if you weren't going to use truth, justice, in an American way, I wouldn't replace it with choose justice and a better tomorrow. I would just scrap the whole thing, because you're making an actual move against what has been projected the entire time that this character has been in existence. So I am obviously I'm biased. So take my opinion with a grain of salt. My commitment to the country, with the one percenters, people like Brad's dad, people like my uncle, my grandfather, 16 other Powells / Clarks that served in the military, we all put ourselves at some degree at risk for an idea. That same idea that Superman represents is the same idea that I signed a contract. Uncle Sam could have sent me anywhere in this world and I could have come back in a box. Same thing with my dad. Same thing with my grandfather who fought in Berlin. Same thing with my Master Chief Powell, with my uncle. Same thing with Senior Master Sergeant James House. All these people, we voluntarily bought into an idea because of that projection. I don't see any reason to change that. I don't see it as a negative. When I go over to some of these countries, when I went over to some of these countries, and with the way we were looked upon was not in a negative way. Now, certain things will happen throughout history that will change that, and for temporarily, but like what we're going through now is temporary. This isn't forever. All right, the country and what it means is stronger than one person or one regime. All right, so I am going to lean towards truth, justice, and the American way. But if you want to use a better tomorrow, I'm not going to ball my fist figuratively and toss that at you. I mean, this is just me. Brad, what do you think? What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I can kind of go either way on it. I mean, like everything you said there, I could definitely see the value in that as being like Superman's catchphrase, and then the better tomorrow one, I can also see not even so much as like a rejection of like the American way part, but I can see the idea behind that being the idea that better tomorrow it comes across. Some people would say that it comes across as kind of almost more all encompassing. Like a better tomorrow, it's not even like for one mindset. It's just that I'm fighting for a better tomorrow. I'm fighting for like a better world for the people of this world who have taken me in. So I can kind of go either way on it. It's like if you use either, if James Gunn uses either one in his Superman movie, it's like I'm not going to bat an eye either way. It's like they both sound good to me. I can mentally connect both of them to something that Superman would say. They both sound to me like something Superman.
And keep in mind, I'm going to be extremely biased. I mean, because of what I just said. But I can also completely understand the other end of it, to where if you're a contemporary person, say for instance, you were born on September 2001, your view of the country is going to be far different than mine, and I have to respect that. Your impression of America, if you're 25 years old right now and you grew up in a country that went in that was involved in 2 wars for this amount of time, you may have been part of that war. You couldn't make sense of that war. I have to respect the fact that your American way may not be how I see it. So I wouldn't be protesting Superman. If they were to change it, I'm not gonna protest it. I'm not gonna make a stink out of it. But at the same time, if you were to ask me the difference between the two, there's my answer, and there's a context of my answer. But because I really don't have too much of an issue, I'm gonna lean towards the American way. All right, yeah, pass the like button, please like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. All right, let's see if it's creepy to me when I'm talking to. I'm sorry when I'm talking to somebody. And it's one thing when we do this shit right here. All right, now you're talking to me, and it's things vibrating.
Well, me like
yeah, there you go. That's all we see, right?
Well, that's my actual face too. So
yeah, and it's an actual face. But when not only is it just it's not a picture of a raptor, the raptor is responding to you, and I'm literally looking at my screen, reacting to the demeanor and the articulation of the dinosaur, and not his human face. I feel like a fool.
Has he done this yet? Has Perv done this yet? Where he just one word, just all he needs is raptor, just Alan. Has he done that yet? Because I would.
No, I haven't.
I got Jurassic Park 3. He should do that if he hasn't done it yet. And Droga also dropped or one comment he left his relation.
Your sound's coming in good.
It's related to his There's a couple of people who talked about that picture of me on my face on Superman's body. See it? You get a couple. For those of you who want the Schumacher cut, I am never going to get in your way. I don't understand why, and I don't understand any reason why they're doing it. But if you get it, you get it. I doubt this is the case here. I doubt it. And now that I know it's a limited release, one thing, that's fine. Like I said, they're always squawking about they don't have the they don't want to waste distribution and everything else. Okay, then why would you do it on a 30-year-old movie when the version that's a popular known version is out there ready to be released with those damn cups? Listen, I am not all knowing. I could wake up tomorrow and every cut that you guys have ever desired could be happening. I don't see it. I'm just answering from my point of view. I don't see it. I don't see the air cut happening anytime soon, except for the re-release, the 10. That makes sense. And then, like I said, add his shit to that DVD, man. Physical media will sell if there's a lure. It's a catch. Yeah. So here's I said looked like Tom Holland there in that Superman picture. Or a couple others here.
No, you look like Brad. You look like
Super blame. It's like everybody blames me, of course, the man of blame. And here's Droga's one here. It's like, well, I believe in truth, but I'm also a big fan of the raid.
Okay, let's get this.
Of course,
back
and you
off
had
this raid.
Droga. You had to link that masterpiece to that abomination. It's a great
All right.
quote. Come on, man. Come on.
William, what do you think Regal will follow suit in order? But I don't know. That's well, it's on a Wednesday, so it depends. I mean, I would because, like I explained before, they make their money. They get a certain percentage of the tickets. Great, but that's not where they make their bread and butter. They make their bread and butter off of. They actually AMC sells Funkos. I've actually purchased Funkos at AMC. They're not that expensive, by the way. They make their money off of all the stuff that's in there. AMC Rainbow, by the way, where we will be seeing on June 2nd, Ballerina for the winners. The losers wait till. No, I'm just kidding. But no, they got a bar. They got a nice little bar at the AMC. There's restaurants around there, but it's that popcorn, dude. That popcorn and that soda and that candy. The markup on that stuff is huge. That's how they pay their bills. That's how they pay their rent. So yeah, Antonio, I would say I can't speak on their behalf, but if it were me, and it works, let's see if it works first. By the way, let's see if it works and increases the traffic. Because if it doesn't work, then no. But if it works, and yeah, I would follow suit because those 5 people that coming in there, if you get them to come in and they can afford, if you've lowered the price in their mind, it may not even make a financial difference. But when you lower prices, dude, how many times have you seen on TV? The $20, I've learned this. I've learned this personally. The $20 threshold is sometimes a path of no return to people. They're like, oh, $20? I can't do that. Oh, $40? I can't do that. Trust me. $19.99. All right, well, okay. If you put $39.99. Oh, okay. So when you start putting the mentality that they're getting more value for their money, they'll spend more money. I've personally done that. Dude, Free Comic Book Day is one of the biggest revenue generating days for me of the year, right? If not the biggest. I'm giving away something for free. So technically you would say, oh, I'm just going to come in and grab my stuff and leave. No, you're giving somebody something of value. They generally respond by spending. So yeah, I would say, yeah, I hope so. That's good for everybody. That's good for the theaters and that's good for the customers because you know what? Broke ass people who's just trying to keep, everything on and keep their family fed. That makes a difference between seeing a movie and not seeing a movie. You don't have to see it on Friday. You could take that same movie, right? That you couldn't see on Thursday opening day. Yeah, it sucks, but your kids are going to remember you taking them to the movie at all. There are some movies that we did not see opening day when I was a kid. I don't fucking remember when I saw One Dark Night in the theater. I don't remember the day I saw Halloween in the theater or Friday the 13th. And I don't know if I saw it on Friday the 13th itself. I remember seeing it. And that's the memories that we're going to remember. So I think it's a great idea. I hope they come up with a lot of clever. I don't want to see the theaters die. I just see the writing on the wall. And unless they are willing to do things, dramatic things, then they're going to go the way of the caveman, unfortunately.
Oh, this sounds interesting here because I just looked up at Fandango, and so you have another director's cut that's getting like a anniversary release or some kind of like theatrical run is Kingdom of Heaven. It's pertinent to this guy too. It's Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah, they can. If you guys want to go see that, enjoy it.
Yeah, it's playing in my theater tomorrow at 6:00. I don't know if it's like a one-day thing, but again, it's 20 years for that.
Pass.
You're not a fan of the director's cut because I mean that's kind of the consensus.
I'm not a fan of the movie.
No, really.
Why did they release all Ridley Scott's cuts and many? I don't know because remember, listen, you're not talking to somebody who's a fan of most of his cuts. Well, I love Ridley Scott's work, but I don't need to see his cuts.
Well, he's very notorious for like he's known for his mindset being like because we have home media, we can we can market these things now. And if the movie has to be like within a certain runtime theatrically, but there's stuff that I would have liked to put in there, but I had to take out. It's like, well, now that it's out, people kind of like can take this in a different sort of pace or a different sort of setting than they would theatrically. That's like, yeah, that director's cuts. That's a perfect way to get that out there. And he is very well known for his director's cuts. He's like, what does he have director's cuts of? He has director's cut of course, Gladiator, of Kingdom of Heaven, of probably good like I don't know. Would you say like half of his filmography, Ridley Scott? Probably get half of
more
it.
more than half, because shit, fucking Blade Runner alone has like 7.
That's
so,
true. Yeah, Blade Runner is like that. That's the and that well, that kind of probably started that too. Is like he was able to put out 7 different versions of Blade Runner, not all of which he was involved with, but there are 7 versions of that out there. So I think that probably like sparked it in his head, the whole like what he was able to kind of salvage his what he had wanted with Blade Runner via the extended cuts on home media. He thought, maybe let's try that with everything else I do.
Both of these are right, Daniel. I know you're trolling me, but both of them are correct. The final decision on any consumption is going to be up to the customer. That's always going to be the right answer. But when somebody comes into your place of business or comes into your area of expertise and they don't know, and they are looking for you to guide them, they don't know. They're not stupid. There's a difference between being stupid and not knowing what you want. When you come into my place of business and you know that you want to read a Hulk comic, you want to read, you're into Hulk. That's, you haven't read anything yet, but you watched the TV show as a kid. You like, I'm just throwing out there. You like what you saw in the cartoons or in movies. You like that. You want to, all right. So you know what you want, but you don't know how to get to that point. That's what we're here for. So it's my job to guide you and, take what you know and what you want and put it together with what I have. Now, the customer is always going to be right because whatever they choose is the right answer. But as far as like not knowing what they want, that's like most customers that will ever come through your door. That's up to the guy behind the counter to put that together. Some people come in, they go right to what they want, right? But a lot of people, especially in my area, especially with where my clientele comes from, most of them are going to come in. They have an idea of what they want. They know they got a name that they can put on what they want, but beyond that, they don't know. And that's up there. And that's not a negative on the customer, but you have to educate that customer to the point. But you have to understand, though, that, and that customer has to understand that I mean, you have a vague idea of what you're going for. Now we got to put it together. Otherwise, you lost. So yeah, both of those things are actually right, Daniel. Truth, justice, and Frappuccino way. I mean, hell, Lord knows I've consumed enough of those to fund a country. Let's see. I'm skipping through some of the trolls and the nonsense, which there are plenty of. Yeah, the fighting for the better tomorrow. I mean, to me, it's semantics for me. I mean, like I said, you can look at all these things through the lens of what we're going through in recent history, and that's going to change your mind. That's going to affect how you see that term. Like I said, if you're 25, you didn't grow up in the idealized country that I did. You grew up in something else. It's still America, but I got to see the whole thing. So you completely respect the fact that you look around with the world right now, and you may not have the same view as America, and you have that right to have that view. But to me, I'm going to go with the old lineage there. It's the same way of how he was still Captain America, and Captain America. And see, that's a perfect example, Chuck, because you read Captain America 336, 337, where when he was ordered to do things that he didn't feel had a set of values. Captain America wants to do things in an American way, but he also knows that there's a set of values that he is never going to change. But the country changed. So some of the best stories and things about Captain America and John Walker, for that matter, are a different reflection of the American values and where the country is. There's a gray area in some of these stories in between that slogan and what things actually are. But what always makes the stories entertaining and fulfilling when it comes to Captain America is he holds to those values, and those values end up ruling the day end up winning out, and those people who didn't have those values, they come upon them. They, when you put what those people are up against Captain America's values, you have your hero and you have your enemy. So what we're talking about actually has been told in stories, and some really good stories. Read Captain America 333 all the way up to 350. You'll see what I mean. No, I'm not scared of raptors. It's just, dude, it's just it's weird because he's talking and the raptor mouth is moving and his tail is wagging behind him and he's turning and and when he talks real fast, the raptor. No, it's just creepy, man. That's weird. It's just weird. I mean, hey, just listen. LA, there you go, Ray. I'm just not a big director's cut guy, by the way. Like I said, Ridley Scott, I think, is a god amongst filmmakers, and I could do without most of his cuts. I'm sorry, including my favorite movie, because I've watched all of his cuts of Blade Runner, and I'm like, why did I do this? There's 2 cuts out of the 7 that he released: the theatrical cut and the international cut. That's it. Everything else is just not necessary. And Alan Ladd and the people who ran that company, the Ladd company, who cut that stuff down, did a brilliant job. They don't get the credit that they would deserve for reshaping that movie into something that could become what it became. No, we can't do this. We can't do this. See, that's what I mean. They can lower the ticket prices. They can take the hit there, but that they have to keep the margin in order for this to work, because you don't want to generate traffic for lesser revenue. You want to generate that same traffic, because you can't go too much. You still got to pay for stuff. You still got overhead. You still got to, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I know from a consumer point of view, well, why does the soda cost $7? Yeah, because that's the markup that pays for everything around you. Now, if you're doing such a great volume every now and then, because you still have discounts, Galaxy Theater gives me discounts and stuff when I reach a certain volume. When you reach a certain volume with your customers, you've got buying power and you can do that. But right now, theaters just aren't there right now. Yeah, dude, AMC got. I mean, we were. I think were you there? Well, were you there for Rebel Moon? I think you might have been there. I'm not sure, but yeah, they had all kinds of stuff there and it's all by their concession stand. And AMC sells a crap ton of stuff. And it's all expensive. Let's see. Did people love to lower the price of popcorn? I get it's like $12, but that box gives them. And like I said, I know Galaxy gives you free refills, and Galaxy gives you a huge dude. That thing is huge, and that can feed like 3 or 4 people. So yeah, I mean, but popcorn is, like I said, I used to make popcorn when we had our theater operations when it was really big. Dude, we made a ton of money off of popcorn. So I know what the markup is. But yeah, but once again, your markup on popcorn is pretty good, but you have to be able to keep it at that. You can't be dropping your prices too much. I don't think that's the trailer people are going to be paying attention for, but we'll take a look at it. Free is my favorite word. Oh yeah, free is my favorite word too. And like I said, when you give somebody something for free, like I said, you have given them something of value that didn't cost them. Now they are more inclined to. I know. Like I said, other than William Powell Sr., I'm the cheapest man walking the face of this earth. But if you give me something free, you're probably going to wrestle a couple more bucks out of my hand than you would have originally. I don't know. I haven't. Well, we got 2 months, by the way. We got quite a while. We got a little bit less than 2 months. So there's no way in hell that we're not getting to.
Well, I mean, I thought the what was that one thing with the Fortress of Solitude? It was
I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was something else, but it's like I thought that was going to be one of those popcorn buckets. Like, okay, that's pretty clever.
There's another thing that I thought a light. There's a light that Film Junkie was showing that they'll.
My favorite.
There's got to be a crypto. There's got to be.
My favorite one of any they've done so far is still that bat signal, because it's like an actually functioning bat signal.
You're talking about the one that turns on?
Yeah, exactly.
That is probably my favorite one. Yeah, here you go. What Brad is talking about is this one right here, and Ray got it for me. So like this one right here. So here we go.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That's a popcorn bucket, and it's you could actually call Batman with this.
By the way, you
And
can
now
neighbor
it's like
bumping.
it got a place of honor in the sci-fi center or in the Batnet section.
Yep. And I'm going to take out that little thing above there and aim it up so that you can kind of see the bat signal in the sky. And then we go to this one. I'm going to fix this. This is cheesy. I'm gonna make a styrofoam ball, but I put that up there. It's a globe with what I printed out. But I wanted to do something different, but like I said, I couldn't quite suspend that up there the way I wanted to suspend it up there. Everything in the Sci-Fi Center is cheesy as fuck, so it's not like it's not like that is going to be like the deal breaker when it comes to cheese. But I think I want to do a little bit better job on that one. What else have I done? Guys need to be reading Tank Girl. Everybody needs to be reading Tank Girl. And I don't care what era you're in, you need to be reading Take Her. This Slick Rick. Yeah. Oh no, I'm just randomly. I believe Joe Hendry. Like I said, 48 hours after that, Joe Hendry was doing WrestleMania, and that price of that belt's going to go up if I ever want to sell it too. So, Superman for All Seasons. You're going to hear us talking about this a lot. Between this and the other one, what am I bringing? All-Star Superman. This is what looks like a lot of the influence that James Gunn is using, along with, unfortunately, Jay Alive. All right. I take on the Raptor. Let me get my T and D-Man costume. Okay. How you doing, Larry? Oh, and thank both Larry and Rhea for gifting 5 memberships. By the way, this weekend, and I promise, we are going to do something with the members. Probably going to be on Friday or Saturday. Definitely going to be on Friday.
Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to regale them with this masterpiece of Mission Impossible 2.
Not while I'm around. It's not a masterpiece, but that's fine. I mean, like I said, all film is subjective, but in the context of Mission Impossible, it's the one. If you told me I had to skip one, you could only watch the other 6 or whatever. You had to skip one. Then that's easy. Bam, it's easy.
Yeah, but you're depriving yourself of the rock climbing scene. That's tragedy. It's like I literally would mourn you if you never saw that opening.
Sure. May I rest in peace. Green chat. Yeah. Every time I hear that Precious Soda, I think of Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop. But like I said, it's how they pay. It's how they pay the bills. Like I said, they only get 35. In some movies they get half, but even half, you're getting half of something you're spending 2 hours of your screen time on. So it's got to be practical. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for tonight, for this morning, and keep an eye on your alert bells. I may do this shit at 9:00. I probably won't because that's just a bit too early for me. And I don't think it's going to change anything. It's not going to me doing it at 9 live. I don't think it's going to change anything. Yeah, I could probably have more live viewers, but I'm not going to torture myself. It's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
So that's noon East Coast. So it's new for me.
So here we go. What is the reaction to the new Mission Impossible? I've heard only good things about it. Like I said,
same.
May 21st, next Monday. Next Wednesday. I'm sorry, we're doing a special screening at AMC Town Square. For those of you who are in Southern Nevada or in Las Vegas, go ahead and play along with our social media contest that we're having. Basically, what it is send me a GIF of what your favorite stunt was from him, his crazy thing. I know Brad was sending the rock. I've already had some people have sent me the rock.
Oh, really, huh?
Most people have sent me the planes. Most people, almost like 50% of the people who have participated, is that what he's hanging on the side of that plane off of our Rogue Squadron. So yeah. Yeah, 9 a.m. I just don't know if I'm going to be doing that shit. So, all right, guys, that is it. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so when I do decide to get up and dive into the Superman sewage here, hopefully it's not as what I'm thinking is going to be. I'm hoping to have some fun conversations tomorrow. Twice we'll be on the air when we do the trailer react and when we do the trailer breakdown later on at 11:30. Just follow the rules. Nobody's going to get hurt. Come wanting to talk about this movie and this movie alone. Your grievances, one way or another, don't have time for. Get a therapist. Get a psychiatrist. If we're talking Superman, we are not going to bring lead weights to this story. And if, like I said, if you don't like the trailer, that's one thing. Tell me why you don't like it. If you like the trailer, tell me. If you're excited about the movies, this is not. We are not here to steer you one way or another. I'm just gonna be talking about it, answering questions, and then, like I said, later on, if there's Easter eggs, by that time I will watch other videos that show Easter eggs and stuff about that. So I'll be more informed later on in the evening than I will be, especially if I do it at 9 and be half damn asleep. Probably not gonna. I'm not gonna look like shit. So who knows? All right, guys, that's it. We will see you sometime today twice.
All right. See you guys.